Modern Mahjong's here with Monday's Daily Talk of the Tiles for June 2nd, 2025. If somebody sent this to you or you're watching it on Instagram and you want to catch up, we have a playlist of Daily Talk of the Tiles on our YouTube channel, Modern Mahjong. Be sure to visit and subscribe so you can get notifications when new videos are loaded. Today, we're talking about dead hands. It's a topic that a lot of players are intimidated and there's kind of a stigma around it. So we're going to break it down and we're going to get into really important information. In every game, there's either one winner or a wall game. If a player's hand isn't winnable, it's a dead hand. Maybe there wouldn't be such a stigma if it was called something else. In other videos in our YouTube channel, in our Facebook group, and our visual companion guide for American Mahjong, we go into detail the many reasons a player's hand can be declared dead. This includes invalid exposures, too few, too many tiles, picking ahead or out of turn, discarding before picking, picking from the wrong wall or the wrong end of the wall. So, what is a dead hand? A dead hand is just an unwinnable hand, and part of it, calling someone's hand dead, can be a strategy and part of a game. There's many things we do during the game that are strategic. This is one of them, and it's not mean or unsportsmanlike. Or we should say, it doesn't have to be mean or unsportsmanlike. There shouldn't be glee when you're calling someone's hand dead. You're just making a matter of fact statement. Your hand is dead, or I believe your hand is dead, or I'd like to challenge your hand, something to that effect. You're not saying you're dead. We're going to first discuss rules about how to call a player's hand dead, the consequences of a dead hand challenge, and everyone's favorite topic, when can you still get those jokers? So, what are the rules? Mahjong Made Easy provides that a hand may be called dead by any other player. So you can't call your own hand dead or should not, and it's not considered dead until another player verifies that. So a hand may be declared dead based on exposures and discards visible to all. So what this means is not for like calling someone's hand dead for too few or too many tiles, and not for calling someone's hand dead for picking at a turn. But if you're calling someone's hand dead because the tiles they need are a single, and you know that they can't get those tiles because they're in exposures or discards, that's how it's determined. It is not determined based on tiles in your sloping part of your rack, because eventually you might have to discard those. So if you have a tile someone needs, that doesn't determine that they have a dead hand. So what happens if you do challenge someone's hand? Well, if a player agrees, they just stop picking and discarding. At that point forward, they must remain silent. Any exposures that don't have exchangeable jokers in them, so the exposure that made their hand dead and anything else, those are all returned to their rack. If there are exposures, which we will get into at the end of this video, that are valid still, those will remain up. They still pay the winner at the end of the game. There is an exception, but that is very rare when there's several hands that are dead. If a player declares another player's hand dead, any discussion should only be with the person who's challenging in the hand and that player. Other players should remain silent. If a player disagrees, they do keep playing. And we recommend, and this is not in Mahjong Made Easy, but we recommend, hey, people have their phone, snap a picture of the hand's viability at that time. So you have proof that you either did have a dead hand or the person challenging that it didn't have a dead hand, or that the person challenging that it is a dead hand. If a player disagreed and they kept on playing, then at the end of the game, the challenge is resolved. Whatever player was incorrect at the time pays the other player 50 cents. And this is in addition to whoever won. So if there's another winner that had a 25-cent hand, that has nothing to do with this 50-cent payment. Mahjong Made Easy also provides information about how to challenge a hand. So the question is, do you have to state your hand is dead for it to be a dead challenge? And the answer to that is in Mahjong Made Easy this year. Player may issue a direct challenge, but questioning or commenting about whether a hand is dead is also considered a challenge. So if player A says, oh, player B, everything you need is out, you can't win, that's a dead hand challenge. Or I know what you need, but it's already exposed, that's a dead hand challenge. So basically, what the league is doing here is they're preventing player A from letting everyone else at the table know, but avoiding the consequences of actually challenging the hand in case they're wrong. And why is this important? Well, let's say player A has a dead hand. Player B figures it out, but announces it, but doesn't fully challenge it. Well, now players C and D are both aware, and this can impact their play and what they might consider safer discards, how they might change their hand. There's consequences of this action. So now to the juicy part. Can you get a joker from a dead hand? It's not a simple yes or no, it's an it depends. The back of the card is just a summary of the rules. It provides in Mahjong Made Easy, jokers can be redeemed from a dead hand exposed before it was declared dead. But the key part here is no jokers exposed prior to a concealed hand are declared dead or redeemable since they were part of an incorrect exposure. And this applies even if you don't realize it is a concealed hand at the time. Meaning, let's say there's a pung that's exposed, and that's valid for either exposed or concealed hand. Later on, the second exposure or Mahjong in error reveals it's concealed. Everything goes back on the sloping part of the rack. Nothing is available. So let's say here, situation one, player A puts up a single exposure of tiles, not valid for an exposed hand. If the hand is declared dead, the jokers are not redeemable. It was an invalid exposure. No jokers. Two, player A exposes a single exposure, only valid in a concealed hand. If the hand is declared dead, jokers are not redeemable. It was a concealed hand and that's it. No, they go back on the sloping part of the rack. No jokers can be got. Play situation three, valid exposure, and then Mahjong in error. But it was because they had the wrong count of tiles or something else. It wasn't a concealed hand. Anything exposed prior to the incorrect Mahjong stays exposed, whatever, up until whatever made the hand dead stays exposed. The other tiles are returned to the sloping portion of the rack. Jokers in the exposed tiles that happened before the exposure that made the hand dead, jokers in those exposures remain redeemable. And finally, situation four. Player A has a valid exposure, displays Mahjong in error, but somebody realizes it's a concealed hand. They already had an exposure. So no jokers are available here, and the entire hand goes back in the rack. And we're going to continue on. This is even if that initial exposure could have been in an exposed hand. The player's hand's dead, no jokers can be exchanged. All tiles are out of here, back to the sloping part of the rack. So today's hand of the day is in the 2, 4, 6, 8 fixed section. We're in hand number 8, the final one on the bottom. And thank you, League, for putting all the concealed hands, if there's a section that has a concealed hand, on the bottom. It's a straightforward hand. 3 suits are used, all 3. The pungs at the end are any even number. So there's a lot of this going on in the even section this year. The hand is an example of being sure to read those parentheses because it doesn't have to just be twos. It could be twos, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 8, as long as those 2 suits are different than the suit that's used for the pairs of 2, 4, 6, and 8. Just remember, concealed hand. We invite you to join us in Manhattan. We are having a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. Seating's limited. Registration's taking place now on ModernMahjong.com. We're going to have a wonderful wine, cheese, fruit, dessert reception and social games. We invite you to register for our upcoming Learn the Card Pivot. It's taking place June 5th. We had several of these already, and players said they missed it and they really wanted to make sure they can join us. So we added another course. Registration is on our website, modernmahjong.com. Our PDF is 95 pages long. It is updated for 2025. If you're interested, you could check it out and purchase it for $10 on our website. If you play Canasta, 2 things. One, we are having an intermediate series starting June 3rd. You could register on bit.ly/Canasta June, and the C and the J are capital. And if you're going to be joining us in New York City for our convention, we are so excited. You could find out details here. And we are also looking for sponsors for that as well. So tons of information. If you have any questions, email us at modernamericancanasta@gmail.com. So thank you so much for joining us and listening. We know this is a little bit longer than usual. We have a lot of information and we didn't even touch the surface of strategy of dead hands. There's so much more to go into. So if you aren't following us You know what you're missing out on. Good information. So join us on Modern Mahjong on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Like, comment, save, and share so you don't forget where you found this. And we hope you have a great day and a great game.